Money cannot buy class, and it certainly cannot buy a liver. Leslie Thomas just learned this lesson the absolute hard way. And honestly, it is about time somebody handed her a reality check instead of a bank deposit slip. The sheer audacity of what unfolded in the aftermath of Eva Thomas and Catherine Cat Richardson's transplant surgery has left us completely speechless. Let's do a quick recap. Eva's life is saved thanks to Cat's incredibly selfless sacrifice. Cat is recovering in her hospital bed, and Leslie is out in the hallways throwing cash around like it is Monopoly money. But this time, her financial flex did not land the way she intended. Instead, she got thoroughly schooled by both Nicole Dupree and Shanice Johnson. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, Kat and Chelsea Hamilton are having a profoundly real conversation about boundaries, public image, and the looming shadow of Tomas Navarro's impending marriage proposal. This is not just a soap opera storyline. This is a masterclass in human psychology and emotional intelligence. Let's start by dissecting the absolute absurdity of Leslie's cash-throwing fiasco. Picture this. Leslie, overwhelmed with relief that her daughter Eva survived the grueling surgery, decides the best way to express her gratitude is to hand Shanice a thick wad of cash to distribute to the hospital staff. Wait, what? Did she really just try to tip the medical professionals who saved her daughter's life as if they were valets at the country club? It is a staggering display of emotional ignorance. Why did she do this? If we analyze her logic, Leslie operates in a world where every single interaction is transactional. She felt entirely helpless while Eva was on the operating table. Her wealth could not stop the internal bleeding, and her checkbook could not instantly conjure a matching liver. Now that the crisis is past, handing out cash is her desperate attempt to regain control and assert her dominance in a situation where she was previously powerless. But Shanice Johnson was absolutely not having it. Shanice's glorious, icy shutdown is one for the history books. This is a hospital, not a restaurant. Boom. That single sentence completely dismantled Leslie's misguided superiority complex. Shanice taught Leslie a vital lesson right then and there. Saving a life is a sacred duty, not a service you can put a price tag on. Furthermore, let's not forget that Shanice is currently grieving the tragic, heroic death of her dear friend Derek Baldwin. Shanice fundamentally understands the fragile, priceless nature of human life. She does not want Leslie's money. She demands Leslie's respect. By rejecting the cash, Shanice forced Leslie to realize that not everyone in Fairmont Crest is looking for a payout. Some people are driven by genuine compassion and duty, concepts that seem entirely foreign to Leslie's transactional mindset. And if Shanice's subtle reprimand wasn't enough, enter Nicole Dupree, the ultimate terrifying mama bear. Nicole absolutely tore into Leslie for insulting Kat's monumental sacrifice. Leslie actually had the nerve to imply, or at least operate under the assumption, that Kat's motivation for donating her liver could be tied to some sort of financial or transactional reward. Nicole was having none of it. She fiercely defended her daughter, pointing out that Kat risked her own life out of pure, selfless love for her father, Ted Richardson, and a deep-seated moral obligation. Nicole told Leslie that she desperately needs to relearn basic manners. It was a master class in maternal defense. Nicole wasn't just yelling. She was surgically deconstructing Leslie's warped worldview, protecting the purity of Kat's brave decision from being tainted by Leslie's dirty money. Then came the ultimate psychological strike from Nicole. She looked Leslie dead in the eye and asked a question that should haunt Leslie for years. Do you know any other way to please people besides money? Let that sink in. That is not just an insult. It is a profound psychological diagnosis. Nicole highlighted the tragic emptiness of Leslie's existence. If you strip away the bank accounts, the designer clothes, and the massive donations, what is left of Leslie Thomas? Does she possess the emotional vocabulary to express genuine gratitude? Does she know how to say a simple, heartfelt thank you without reaching for her purse? Nicole's sharp question forced Leslie to confront her own emotional bankruptcy. It was a brilliant, sharp-tongued moment that proved this show isn't just about emotional outbursts. It has serious brains behind the drama. So, did these back-to-back lessons from Nicole and Shanice actually penetrate Leslie's thick skull? Surprisingly, it seems they might have. We witnessed a rare, almost unprecedented moment of vulnerability when Leslie visited Kat's hospital room. Leslie looked at the girl she had mocked and belittled, the the girl she called Kitten, and admitted that she had severely underestimated her. Leslie realized that she misjudged the core strength of the Richardson-Smith and Dupree bloodlines. But here's the brilliant twist that keeps Kat from becoming a boring one-dimensional saint. When Leslie promised to repay the debt, Kat coldly replied that she will collect. Kat is not playing the naive martyr. She knows exactly what she just handed Leslie, and she is holding on to that leverage. It is a brilliant power dynamic shift. Now, let's pivot and talk about the illusion of the happy family dynamic happening with Ted and Leslie. Because of the shared trauma of Eva's near-death experience, Leslie has been leaning heavily on Ted. They have been holding hands, crying together, and sharing deeply emotional moments in the waiting room. Naturally, some viewers might look at this and think, oh no, Ted is going to bond romantically with Leslie again. Let's use our logic here and shut that down immediately. Ted is not falling back in love with Leslie. He is simply executing his fundamental responsibilities as a terrified father. His bond with Leslie right now is entirely circumstantial, forged in the fires of a medical emergency involving their shared child. Do not confuse co-parenting trauma with romantic reconciliation. If we look at Ted's history, his true partner in parenting has always been Nicole. Ted and Nicole navigated the complexities of raising children together for years. They share a deep, foundational understanding of how to support each other during family crises. Shanice, who is currently Ted's romantic partner, is incredibly mature and completely understands this dynamic. Shanice is not throwing jealous fits because Ted is comforting the mother of his dying child. She knows that Ted's presence by Leslie's side is about Eva, not about rekindling an old flame. Shanice's security in her relationship with Ted is refreshing. She knows that once the dust settles and Eva is fully recovered, Ted's romantic loyalty remains with her, not with the woman who just tried to bribe the nursing staff. Meanwhile, inside the sanctuary of Kat's hospital room, a completely different, highly revealing conversation is taking place between Kat and her cousin Chelsea. This scene was pure gold. Chelsea correctly points out that Kat's selfless act has completely changed everyone's perception of her. Before this, Kat was often viewed as selfish, spoiled, and deeply resentful of Eva. But by literally giving a piece of her body to save her worst enemy, Kat has rewritten her own narrative. Chelsea playfully suggests that Kat deserves the hero bag, a symbol of ultimate praise and luxury. It is a beautiful moment of sisterly bonding between two cousins who have both faced their fair share of public scrutiny and family drama. But Kat's response to the hero bag comment reveals a massive leap in her character development. Instead of eagerly accepting the praise and demanding the designer reward, Kat humbly states that the bag should go to the first responders who actually pulled people from the tornado wreckage. Wow. Is this the same Kat we knew a month ago? This profound humility proves that her near-death experience during the surgery complications genuinely changed her perspective on life. Chelsea, however, remains fiercely protective of her cousin, insisting that Kat deserves the crown. Chelsea vows to make sure that all the haters and doubters are silenced and that everyone treats Kat like the generous queen she has proven herself to be. Then Chelsea drops the heavy question, steering the conversation toward the elephant in the room, Tomas Navarro. Chelsea asks the question, we have all been screaming at our screens, does Kat actually want to marry a man who profoundly hurt her? Let's not forget the history here. Tomas betrayed Kat by having an affair with Eva, the very same Eva that Kat just sacrificed her liver to save. The psychological entanglement is messy, toxic, and deeply complicated. How can Kat logically consider tying herself legally and spiritually to a man who shattered her trust in such a humiliating public way? Chelsea is acting as the voice of reason, forcing Kat to confront the uncomfortable reality of her romantic choices. Kat's response is fascinatingly logical, stripping away the overwhelming emotion we usually expect from her. She tells Chelsea that they have moved past the infidelity. But then she drops a massive reality check. She hasn't even thought about marriage because they haven't even moved in together yet. Yes, finally, a character on this show using pure, unadulterated logic. Kat is putting the brakes on the fantasy. Why on earth would she plan a wedding when they haven't even navigated the daily friction of sharing a living space? By stating this, Kat proves she is guarding her heart. She is not rushing blindly back into a fairy tale. She requires tangible proof of stability like a shared lease and cohabitation before she even entertains the idea of a diamond ring. But here is the incredible twist of dramatic irony. While Kat is preaching logic and slow pacing to Chelsea, Tomas is out at the nurse's station, literally asking Ted for his blessing to marry Kat. Tomas is moving at 100 miles an hour, driven by the sheer terror of almost losing Kat on the operating table. He wants to lock her down for the rest of his life. But if Kat is demanding they live together first, what is going to happen when Tomas drops to one knee? Will Kat say yes to the ring, or will she counteroffer with a set of apartment keys? It is highly likely that Tomas's grand proposal might result in a compromise. Kat agreeing to move in with him to test the waters before officially walking down the aisle. This entire sequence of events perfectly encapsulates why we are so addicted to Fairmont Crest. We have Leslie learning that wealth cannot shield you from the harsh realities of life and that respect must be earned, not purchased. We have Nicole and Shanice standing as pillars of moral integrity, refusing to let money dictate human decency. We have Ted navigating the incredibly delicate balance of fatherhood and romance without crossing inappropriate lines. And most importantly, we have Kat Richardson, evolving from a bitter rival into a logical, grounded survivor who refuses to be rushed into a marriage she isn't fully prepared for. The question now is, when Tomas pulls out that ring, will Kat's heart override her newly found logic, or will she force him to slow down? We cannot wait to find out